with your reaction and well wishes coming up next.
Turn up your swagger game with one-a-day gummies. One serving, once a day. With nutrients that support 6 vital functions and 1 healthy you. That's the power of one-a-day.
Welcome to Atlantis, where unexpected moments become lifelong memories. On an island called Paradise at a place called Atlantis.
Book your winter vacation by January 31st at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
Why do so many homeowners start home repair and improvement projects at HomeAdvisor?
With HomeAdvisor, we know we're going to find the right pros for absolutely any project.
You can read reviews,
Compare prices,
and book an appointment online.
and it's free.
Go to HomeAdvisor.com.
What is it? Well, I'm not quite sure. But I'd like to prescribe my proprietary elixir. And you say this stuff works? Well, it works for me.
What if doctors were like most financial advisors? Creative planning is different. We never sell proprietary products.
Strong, smart, outspoken.
On this show, we demand answers.
Nothing is off the table. Tonight on Hit.
I can't read a thing off of here.
All right, have we decided?
We actually forgot our readers.
Here you go.
As your eyes get older, the adjustments you make can be frustrating. Ask your eye doctor about Daly's Total One multifocal contact lenses. They let you see clearly near and far with a contact lens that feels like nothing. Learn more and get a free 5-day trial at cnearandfar.com.
These folks, they don't have time to go to the post office. They have businesses to grow, customers to care for, lives to get home to. They use Stamps.com. Print discounted postage for any letter, any package, anytime, right from your computer. All the amazing services of the post office, only cheaper. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com/try and never go to the post office again.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Travis Stork. And if you've ever seen me on television, you already know my passion is helping people live longer, healthier lives. Did you know that 1 out of 3 Americans suffer from high blood pressure? And the older you get, the greater the risk. So I was excited when I came across the Zona Plus. It's a drug-free, software-controlled handheld device which uses the proven science of isometric therapy to help lower blood pressure naturally.
As a physician who's experienced great results with the Zona Plus, I would not hesitate to recommend it to.
This is an opportunity of a lifetime.
It's never too late to be where you could have been.
That was amazing. All new Titan games, Thursday on NBC, and stream anytime. So
Well, I can't get me to do as much as well. I have to like to grab it out of my hand. I'm trying to like to see something.
I can't get me TV, probably.
What? You grab it out of my hand? I was gonna put it right back. All I wanted to see is why this TV spiked it up so bad.
What? Me TV.
That's all I wanted to see. Was it worth grabbing it out of my hand?
Well, I didn't figure you know what you...
Yeah, I do. I know how to put it right back on what you were watching. Watch me. Watch me. I'm not damn insensitive. Just wanted to see something. Oops. Hit the wrong
Well,
button.
that's something.
I hit the wrong button.
That needs a battery.
The battery. You don't have any batteries in this?
Yeah, they, that's not one of those ones.
we'll send you the Pray and Grace 55-day devotional. This new devotional will help you renew your mind to the realities of God's grace and help you pray powerful grace-based prayers for each day. With your gift of one...
This one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right there, he was talking about how these Good Samaritans came and opened up the windows and pulled the family out, and the family's banged up. There's some stitches, cut lips, broken tooth, They are alive.
Yeah, and the best thing to come out of this is that he's using this as a teachable moment to remind everybody to count your blessings. And I think that's such a fabulous message. And it's not falling on deaf ears because a lot of people are tweeting with the hashtag count your blessings. I know Brett has seen a lot of these nice tweets. Daniel on Twitter says, it's events like this that remind me how special life is. Glad you and your wife are safe, Brett, and you're right. Every day is a blessing and family is everything. Hashtag count your blessings. Another Twitter user writing, count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord hath done. And then take a look at this tweet saying, life is a gift and should be cherished. Thank God you and your family are okay, Brett. God bless. Another hashtag, count your blessings. There's so much that goes viral on social media that shouldn't. This is something that I think everybody can reflect on and be better for in the end.
And even Brett said, normally I don't give advice, but in this situation, I feel like I need to go public with this and tell you all.
Absolutely. I normally don't give advice either, but my mom once said to me that God doesn't put anything in your life that you can't handle, and that stuck with me forever. Whenever something difficult comes my way, to reflect on that and know, you know what, you can handle it. So it's good that he's using this as a teachable moment, like I said, to remind everybody, just count those blessings.
Right. Well, last night, there wasn't a dry eye in Busy House.
Man.
Miracle just like that.
Yes.
Hashtag count your blessings.
And we're so glad that the Brett Bear family is safe.
Hashtag thank you, Brett, for telling us your story.
Absolutely.
All right, Carly, thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
All right, 4 minutes down before the top of the hour. This rancher's land has been in his family for more than 250 years, and he's willing to give part of it away so President Trump can build the wall. That rancher joins us live.
Plus, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders and Mike Slater are live in the next hour.
It's frustrating when you can't see clearly. Imagine there were wiper blades that did more than just wipe away the rain. Rain-X Latitude Water Repellency 2-in-1 wiper blades. Our revolutionary blades include the water-beating magic of Rain-X and works by applying the repellent directly to the glass. So water magically beads up and rolls away while you drive, compared to traditional wipers. The difference is amazing. That's why Rain-X just won the prestigious Product of the Year award. Rain-X, outsmart the elements.
It's Nutrisystem's New Year, New You Save. For a limited time, save 40% off every program, including New Fresh Start. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Try us. Money back guaranteed.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I feel so much healthier now.
I'm doing things now that I never thought I could.
Our chefs create your favorite foods made healthier, perfectly balanced to put your body in fat-burning mode.
Count, measure meetings? No, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day program right now and we'll rush you Nutrisystem Fresh Start. Plus a week of all-new Fresh Start shakes free. High protein, designed to burn fat with probiotics to shrink your belly.
You'll see results right away.
For a limited time, save 40% off every program.
Nutrisystem works.
Do it now, don't wait. Go online or call 888-483-FIT5 and get free shakes plus 40% off every program.
Oh.
People with type 2 diabetes are excited about the potential of once-weekly Ozempic. In a study with Ozempic, a majority of adults lowered their blood sugar and reached an A1C of less than 7 and maintained it.
Oh? Under 7?
And you may lose weight. In the same one-year study, adults lost on average up to 12 pounds.
Oh, up to 12 pounds?
A 2-year study showed that Ozempic does not increase the risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke, or death.
Oh, no increased risk.
Ozempic should not be the first medicine for treating diabetes or for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase the risk for low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
I discovered the potential with Ozempic.
Ask your healthcare provider if Ozempic is right for you.
33 of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history.
Does it seem endless? Like, is there an end in sight?
And Democrats continue to say, even if you open up the government, we won't give you money for your wall.
Students at the center of that viral confrontation on Capitol Hill being smeared online.
I've never heard such cruel things wished upon another human being.
Everybody is now on 48 hours notice. Retract it, correct, and apologize. If you do not, the next week you may be a defendant in the lawsuit.
There was a time when U.S. officials would never dare criticize the president on foreign soil, but for John Kerry,
if you had President Trump sitting right opposite you, what would your message be?
Resign.
A North Carolina sheriff's deputy finding a sweet note left from his children, writing, quote, "I love you, Dad. Be safe." The Brunswick County Sheriff's Office says this kind of loving support sustains them each and every day.
Common song heard on the highway on Sirius on a regular basis. Kenny Chesney actually has no shoes right now. 56. No shoes. Because, you know, his whole image is you kick off your shoes, you walk to the sand, you go to the beach.
I only listen to channel 114.
Really? No, how do you know what to hum when you're in the shower? You only listen to talk. We're talk.
Oh, that's right. You're talking about turning away from your paycheck.
Right, I know, but you have a Victrola at home, so when you're not listening,
You know
listen
what?
to
I
the
sold
record.
all of my records back in the 90s at a garage sale for $2.
Not Oreos.
Kicked myself.
Not Oreo
are
Speedway.
they singing that song down in D.C., you think? Get Along?
Yeah, but they don't sing it. They sing it separately in their own booth because they don't get along.
In their own booth.
But maybe there are some moderates that are pushing the envelope to get us along.
Well, the president just tweeted about that. We're going to get to that in a moment. But first, our top story. Covington Catholic High School out in Kentucky is open this morning. They had to close yesterday after all sorts of death threats against students and faculty and family members after this video went viral. That young man, Nick Sandman, was face-to-face with that Native American pictured right there, Nathan Phillips. And the headlines on Twitter and elsewhere were that these Catholic high school students were mocking the Native American. That went viral. That prompted all the doxing and the threats. But that story was not true. And now their reputation is being restored as people figure out what happened.
Yeah, many people are wondering what he was thinking, what both of them were thinking, what the real story was. It's unfolding throughout, it has been unfolding over the last few days. And Nick Sandman was interviewed, and this is what he says, what was going through his head at the time.
I wanted this situation to die down, and I just wish she would have walked away, but I knew as long as I kept my composure and didn't do anything that he might perceive as aggressive or elevation of the conflict, that it would hopefully die.
Yeah, of course, the confrontation started when the Hebrew Israelites started shouting at the kids, assuming certain things about them, you're a school shooter, you're X, you're Y. I don't want to repeat it, but the Daily Beast today, one of the Hebrew Israelites who we've seen scream at us here in from Brooklyn, but often in Manhattan, just obscene things. They take pride in the fact that they say they started this whole thing, even though it didn't end with them. Sam Schroeder was with us, along with Grant Hillman. These are students, and they talked about the confrontation with us less than an hour ago.
I know how our school raises these kids. I know that no one from our school would be disrespectful. He was not trying to do that at all. The threats, they've been horrible. I've never heard such cruel things wished upon another human being. It's just awful.
The students, and those are the same two young men, clearly dressed for school today, they're back in session, who appeared in that video that they put out about 36 hours ago trying to explain their side of the story. But they were heartbroken that so many celebrities and prominent members of the news media have come out and disparaged their school and their character and particular students at the school. And the story is wrong, but it's out on the internet, and in many cases it lives forever, although a number of prominent Twitter users have deleted their tweets and apologized for it. But we had an attorney on who said that those who have not, the meter's running, they've got 48 hours to fix it.
If not, he's going to sue. Listen to what he said.
A lot of these journalists that have been saying false statements about these kids
false statements about the kids that are at the Lincoln Memorial, false statements about kids that were in various photographs related to the school, slurring and libeling the entire school. By this point in time, it is clear that anyone who continues to lie and libel about these kids has done so illegally and can be sued for it. All these people that have lied and libeled better be checking their bank accounts if they're going to continue to lie and libel.
Nathan Phillips is now saying he's the Native American. He is now saying that he originally said he didn't want to talk to the student, and now he's changing his mind. He says he's willing to travel to Covington High School to have a dialogue with the students there. But he went on to say that he's talking about Salmon, the student, stole my narrative. From the time I hit the first beat of the drum until the last beat, I was in prayer. Now all of a sudden, he's the prayer guy and the passive one.
Right, and the president apparently has invited the students of Covington Catholic High School to the White House. We had two of them on. They said that after the government shutdown is resolved, they would both love to be in attendance at the White House.
So we know the partial government shutdown is affecting Treasury, Homeland, Interior, Agriculture, and the Departments of Justice, the FBI amongst the groups, and the TSA. Day 33 are the ones who are feeling it the most. As we all sit here and wonder when we're going to get a pause as a government. So today, at least it's getting a little bit interesting, because tomorrow we're going to see two bills pass the Senate. You heard the president's speech Saturday. Mitch McConnell put it into a plan. It's going to be offered up. It's not supposed to get 60 votes. There is speculation of getting 3 to 4 Democrats to vote for it at the most. And the Democratic plan is this: a stopgap spending bill that would fund the government through February 8th. But in the end, they want to make sure the resolve would not include the wall, while using the terms over and over again, hostage-taking and temper tantrum.
Both bills need 60 votes. The president's tweeting this morning. He says great unity in the Republican Party. Want to, once and for all, put an end to stoppable crime and drugs, border security, and wall. No doubt. Build a wall and crime will fall. This is the new theme for 2 years until the wall is finished, under construction now of the Republican Party. Use it and pray. Build a wall and crime will fall.
Okay, so it's very clear what we got going here. The Republican-sponsored bill, which is the president's idea, all the Republicans presumably would vote for it. But when you look at the Democrats' suggestion of, okay, let's just fund the government for a couple of weeks and trust us, we'll talk about immigration and the border. The president doesn't trust the Democrats. The Democrats don't trust the Republicans. Here's one of each on the floor of the Senate yesterday talking about the loggerheads we're at right now.
The opportunity in all this is staring us right in the face. All that needs to happen is for our Democratic friends to agree that it's time to put the country ahead of politics, take yes for an answer, and vote to put the standoff behind us.
The leader's attempts, which I just heard on the floor here, the leader's attempts to blame Democrats for the shutdown are futile. They're so far from reality that no one takes the leader seriously when he says it. The American people know that President Trump is responsible for the shutdown, and now they have learned that Leader McConnell is a co-conspirator.
He's got a plan. Senator Schumer doesn't, and they don't want to do it. Steny Hoyer said yesterday to Neil Cavuto, yeah, of course there's a barrier that works in certain areas. Why doesn't he get that through to the Nancy Pelosi? If you really want to put pressure on the president, have the speaker come out and say, I thought about it. We're going to look at certain areas at the border where there's going to need barriers and others who are going to need technology, and we'll do that up until February 8th, or else we'll have another shutdown. That would put pressure on the president. But by continuing to say, no wall, no wall, no wall, while the president already backed out and said barrier, you're making the president make sure this doesn't end. Keep in mind, there are already some cracks on the Democratic side. This Minnesota Congressman, Colin Peterson, is telling Democratic colleagues to approve President Trump's request for a funding wall on the southern border. And there's others that have said the exact same thing.
Well, so you look at the calendar and you try to figure out when this is going to end. If it does not end with the successful passage in the Senate tomorrow, and nobody's really saying that's going to pass, what's the next thing on the calendar? The State of the Union. It's still on the books for Tuesday. Apparently the White House is still counting on Nancy Pelosi not officially pulling the plug on it, which she has not yet. They haven't requested a walkthrough for logistics to see if they can go in. They were supposed to do it on Monday. They did not do it. White House is preparing two different versions. But can you imagine if the president on Tuesday night, whether it's in the House of Representatives or along our southern border, he would come out and say, look, the state of our union not good. To Brian's point, I've been trying to negotiate with the Democrats. They have not come to the table. So what are we going to do? Because Tuesday would be 40 days. Don't be surprised if the president comes up with a creative sleight of hand regarding bookkeeping, comes up with the money, and then announces the government is open the next day.
Or wouldn't it be great for both sides to get together and understand we're not even going to remember this by 2020?
Yeah, it'd be great. That would be great.
And all of a sudden,
32 days to get together.
I know.
33, sorry.
But in the next couple of days, and just say, here's what we're doing going forward. And Tuesday at the State of the Union, it's business as usual. I think America wants to see something traditional happen. Right. I mean, they're desperate to go back to something
There are a
traditional.
lot of people that don't want him to have a win. They don't want him to have the wall. Even though they were for it a long time ago, they don't want it now because it'd be a win for him.
They should understand that we're not going to remember this come election day. We didn't even remember the Schumer shutdown last time because it just wasn't an issue. You see the way the cycle works. We're going to black this out. We have everybody that has a nation. We need Ginkgo biloba because we've all lost short-term memory. It's the news. Yeah, that's what it's for. It's news of the day.
All right. The problem is you've got some Democrats and Republicans in the Senate working on plans, but when you got Chuck Schumer saying to all the Democrats,
You gotta say no.
they're going to say no.
He's afraid of the speaker.
Well, they're afraid of Trump getting a win to your earlier point. All right, we'll keep you posted. In the meantime, Julie's got a headline.
That's right, good morning. And a Fox News alert. 9 military members are rushed to the hospital after a crash involving military vehicles. 2 service members are in critical condition. The crash happened in southern New Mexico, north of El Paso, Texas. Authorities say 2 military Stryker vehicles were involved. At this point, it's unclear what caused the crash. A suspected murderer and gang member traveling to the U.S. in a caravan is nabbed in Mexico. Officials tell Fox News the man from El Salvador is wanted on several charges, including murder, kidnapping, and drug possession. He is part of both the 18th Street and MS-13 gangs. Nearly 2,000 migrants are continuing their trek through Mexico to the U.S. after taking off from Honduras last week. President Trump renominates 51 people for seats on the federal bench. 85 judicial nominations failed to receive a vote and expired at the end of the last Congress. 9 appointments are for spots on influential appellate courts. That includes 2 vacancies on the traditionally liberal 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, which the president calls politically biased. James Gandolfini's son will reprise the iconic role of Tony Soprano in the upcoming prequel of The Sopranos.
I just want to see you do good. You're my son, and I love you.
19-year-old Michael Gandolfini had to earn the role, beating out several other actors. He called it a profound honor. A release date for the movie, The Saints of Newark, hasn't been announced, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's not his son. I mean, that's his son in the movie, but his son is different. Right?
It is, but it's a prequel.
I know.
His son in the show, The Sopranos, is going to be...
No.
His actual
son, Michael Gandolfini. Yes.
All right, there will be a family resemblance.
This is son.
We're gonna watch.
It's a good story. Thank you, Julian.
Sorry, it took us so long to understand.
Meanwhile, this rancher's land has been in his family for more than 250 years, and he is willing to give part of it to the federal government so President Trump can build the wall. That rancher joins us live next.
And she shoots. She scores. One college student wins big with this nearly.
At Safe Flight Auto Glass, we know that when you're spending time with the grandkids, every minute counts. And you don't have time for a cracked windshield. That's why at Safe Flight, we'll show you exactly when we'll be there with a replacement you can trust. Well done, sir. Looks great. Thank you, choosing Safe Flight. Thank you. Bye. Saving you time so you can keep saving the world.
It was probably 6 months ago when they met.
You're beautiful. You are flawless.
Yeah, Yeah, we're gonna need 500 more units pronto.
We don't have that kind of money right now, Carl.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
in 10 minutes.
gonna
That's
call
how long
Baby
it'll
Sis
take you
this
to get
morning.
funding through Cabbage. I know. I'm 10 minutes in the future spokesguy.
What's happening?
And I'm 10 days in the future, spokesguy. That cabbage funding helped you win the Gundle Finger again. Congratulations.
What's a Gundle Finger?
Not from 10 years in the future.
Cabbage. Business funding in as little as 10 minutes. What in this?
I chose Medi Weight Loss because it's medically supervised, clinically proven, and they created a plan just for me.
I went from a size 20 to a size 8.
Medi Weight Loss kept me motivated. I lost over 70 pounds.
60 pounds, I'm 55 and fabulous.
The Medi weight loss products and supplements helped me stay on track, and I lost 60 pounds.
You can lose up to 10 pounds the first week. Visit startmedi.com to shop online and find a location near you.
However you take your business card, make the most of it with more shapes, stops, and finishes from Vistaprint. Now's the time to try 500 standard cards starting at just $9.99 with promo code VCNOW. Own the now with Vistaprint.
You're made of trillions of cells. They work together doing important stuff. The hitch? Like you, your cells get hungry. Feed them with Centrum micronutrients. Restoring your awesome daily. Feed your cells with Centrum micronutrients today.
Vacation rentals? Search Home to Go Florida from $29. Texas from $45. Home to Go California from $34. New York from $37. The world's largest vacation rental search engine.
For a nasty cold, take new Dayquil Severe with Vicks Vapor Cool. And vaporize it with an intense rush of Vicks Vapors. New Dayquil Severe with Vicks Vapor Cool. The daytime coughing stuff you had to vaporize your cold medicine.
Here at Snowflakes.
For your worst sore throat pain, try new Vicks Vapor Cool drops. It's not candy, it's powerful relief. Vaporize sore throat pain with new Vicks Vapor Cool drops.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7, Channel 115.
While Democrats in Congress refuse to give in to President Trump's calls for a border wall in some spots, one Texas rancher says he's willing to give up a part of his own 600 acres of land that's been in his family for more than 250 years for the construction of the wall. Here to explain why, seventh generation Texas rancher Ruperto Escobar.
I'm not ignoring you. I ain't got time.
San Antonio. Ruperto, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
How bad is it on your property? Because I know you've got property right there along the river. Tell us about it, the problem there.
The problem there right now is primarily drug trafficking. The illegal immigrants traveling through there are not so prominent anymore like they used to be. But I've lived there 75 years, Steve, and let me tell you, I've seen everything happen there. Right now, I must access the river because I have a pumping site. And I have a good workable road to the river. Right. And you ought to see the amount of traffic that happens primarily going back towards the river. People that get caught with their vehicles full of drugs and then they speed back towards the river at a very high velocity past my house. A whole full of police after them. And then these individuals park those loaded Suburbans and things like that right by the bank of the Rio Grande and jump in the water and off they go and they leave everything there.
And I know that
happens quite often.
Right, and I know that you had a couple of your, the people who work there on your farm, they were essentially told by the bad guys at gunpoint one night, this land is ours, and you're not going anywhere. And you didn't report it because you didn't want your men to get killed. But nonetheless, we've got a big map here in the studio that shows in the Rio Grande Valley sector, last year, 162,000 border apprehension. So it proves your point that there's a lot going on your particular land. I know you say you would donate your land to the federal government for it, but I got to ask you, Nancy Pelosi, real quickly, Mr. Escobar, says that a wall would be immoral. You live where the wall would go. What do you say to her?
I say, ma'am, I don't know where you get your facts, but from what we have endured my lifetime, which is about 75 years now, of seeing the number of illegals coming across here, trampling over our fences, the drug dealers tearing down our gates, that is immoral.
Okay.
And we're tired of it. We need that wall.
All right, making it loud and clear. Roberto Escobar, seventh generation rancher, joining us from down in Texas. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, there you go. Meanwhile, 820, the video is scary. An out of control car spinning right towards a deputy on a snowy road. What happens next? We're going to tell you. Plus, Senator Kamala Harris raising nearly $2 million in less than 2 days on the run for president. So how worried should Democrats be? Mike Slater coming in to weigh in next.
If your family is anything like this, you need quality floors from Empire today. Like durable carpet with built-in stain and pet protection. Tough wood laminate with a scratch-resistant finish. Or waterproof monoplane floors. Even that time is no match. And when life happens, Empire backs every floor with great warranty. Quality floors you can count on. That's Empire today.
Guys, you want to lose weight this year? Here's the 411 on weight loss with Nutrisystem for men. 1. You'll lose weight. I lost 225 pounds with Nutrisystem. 2.
Yeah, I only got one
It's
daughter.
awesome.
I love the food. Pizza, pasta, burgers. Hungry?
Never. 3. You can lose up to 18 pounds in your first month.
I lost 20 pounds the first month.
4. It works.
That is probably my daughter-in-law.
I lost the weight.
Yeah, no, I only have one daughter. Yeah, the one that was here last night, my
free.
daughter.
High protein designed to burn fat. Plus, FedEx shipping free.
I got to eat whatever I want. And believe me, that's a big deal.
You know what else is a big deal? Our money back guarantee. Now you've got the 411. It's Nutrisystem for men. What are you waiting for?
Guys, come on, come on.
You eat the food, you lose the weight.
Go online or call 877-490-BIT3 and save 40% plus get fat-burning shakes free.
I hear it in the background. She's watching it too, saying, this is where
Just because I didn't born her don't mean she ain't my daughter.
Mike Pompeo on the story. Inside Trump's foreign policy agenda, his next moves, and how it'll impact the nation. Martha's exclusive with our Secretary of State tonight.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. The Center for Medicare Services has officially authorized new benefits Medicare Advantage plans may include. Plans may now include private home aids and rides to medical appointments. Most plans also include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. To get the benefits you deserve, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they...
To science and technology. Why not try The Economist? For your free copy, text questions to 99000 or call us now.
Welcome back. Technology among the growth stories of the globe right now. In a world where people are unsure of the global growth, especially in the face of cybersecurity spend and privacy issues taking center stage. Joining me right now is the CEO of Cisco, Chuck Robbins. Good to see you, Chuck. Thanks so much for joining us. You've got a lot of catalysts on the horizon. 5G, security, cloud transition. Tell me how growth works from your standpoint.
Yeah, Maria, first of all, it's the security architectures that have to be built with our customers today are much different than what they used to be. You think about none of our customers in this new world have a perimeter anymore. They're all effectively virtual enterprises. So security has to be built actually into the network using AI, machine learning, all the things that we like to talk about. So that's a key area for us. And in order to do that, we see our customers having to refresh and build in new infrastructure that actually can provide that. So that's a big thing. The 5G big build-out's a big thing. The early days of IoT are big. But there's lots of positives.
Tell me what you're seeing in terms of growth right now, given this dominating theme here, that we're seeing a global slowdown.
You mean to say the world's coming to an end?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I thought coming here, I thought the world was coming to an end. I just was convinced by all the people. But the reality is that, you know, I like others have said, we run the risk of talking ourselves into something. I talk to my peers here, and you know, all are asking each other, sort of, where's this coming from? And so I think that clearly there are lots of geopolitical risks, primarily. I think clearly a lot of us benefited from the tax reform in 2018. So you're going to have tougher comps year over year. But everybody's built it in. They know that. These geopolitical risks are actually the biggest ones. And I think that most of us remain optimistic that whether it's Brexit or whether it's a shutdown or whether it's trade, that those things are going to be resolved because they just need to be resolved.
You see customers react to uncertainties like Brexit, like the Italian budget issues, perhaps the issues are in France as well.
Well, I think that as you talk to folks around here, I think many of them have seen a little bit of a slowing. I'm not talking our business, but a little bit of a slowing in Europe over the last 2 or 3, 4 quarters. But what they told me is it hasn't been like precipitous. And anytime you see Brexit, you've got, you know, a bit of uncertainty in Germany, you've got the situation in France, the situation in Italy, you would expect that that might be the case. I actually believe that we should be super impressed with the resilience of the global economy over the last few years in the face of all these things. And that's the thing that gives me hope, as well as the fact that the underlying reasons that some of these issues need to be solved in a constructive way, I think the people who have to solve them understand that.
So I know you're reporting earnings next week. You're in the quiet couple of weeks. Yeah. You're in the quiet period, but you just sound like you don't see this slowdown.
Well,
particularly in the U.S.
Well, we just see. If you go back to last quarter, we grew 8% last quarter. So what, I don't know, did something happen the last 90 days? I mean, it was like the fastest growth quarter we've seen in years and years and years. So I think that the other thing that we believe is if you go back before the last financial crisis, if you look at the role of technology, particularly in a business-to-business world, and we tend to focus so much on consumer technology that we don't talk about this a lot. If you look at the role that business technology is playing, 10, 12 years ago, our customers would build their strategy, and then they would turn to their operations teams, their technology teams, and they would say, do what you need to do to enable our strategy. And today, they're building their strategy based on their understanding of what technology allows them to do. So technology is at the core of how they evolve their strategy. So it's not an operational enabler. It's not something that, well, we just need to stop spending right now. It's at the heart of their business. So I think that my belief is that tech could see less, we'll see if it plays out, we can see less of a potential, precipitous fall off as we've seen in other earlier slowdowns, even though I'm not suggesting we're in a slowdown.
Chuck, let me switch gears, ask you a bit about China, in particular Huawei, because there's a lot of focus on Huawei. Obviously, the CFO detained initially because of espionage. Has Huawei, I know you have common lines of businesses with Huawei, right? Has Huawei stolen trade secrets from Cisco?
Well, first of all, I mean, they are our biggest competitor on a global basis. And I also just say that what I know about the situation is the same thing everybody else knows, that what we read. But we had a suit back in the early 2000s, like literally like 2002, 2003. And subsequent to that, I have no knowledge of anything occurring. So what we focus on around the world with them or any other competitor is really delivering on significant innovation to actually help our customers achieve what they're trying to achieve, and that's what we focus on.
It seems to me that given the worries about spying at Huawei, it's, if a customer has to choose, they're probably going to choose Cisco.
Well, I think, look, every customer around the world right now, they're making technology decisions based on innovation, based on customer support, but they're also making it based on trust. And that's no different whether they're looking at, we're talking about some of the social platforms or we're talking about companies like Cisco. I mean, that is an element when you think about privacy and you think about data and everything. It has become a much more important decision factor for our customers. So we focus on trying to just ensure that our customers feel as good as they can possibly feel about how we operate with them and what we take care of them in these areas.
So what are you doing specifically in terms of protecting the data? Your business is critical to so many companies in this environment where they're afraid of espionage.
Yeah, we actually have very few elements of our portfolio where we capture our customers' data, and we have zero where we monetize our customers' data. So where we do in some of our collaboration products, we comply with GDPR. In many cases, we host it in the country if that's what our countries are asking us to do. So we're just actually working with them. And the other thing we're trying to do, frankly, is if you're in government today and your task is to regulate or drive policy in this rapidly changing technology world, I have tremendous empathy for them. I mean, that is a very hard thing to do, particularly when technology is not what they do for a living. So we're
and government's about 20% of your business?
It's probably a little more than that globally. But the issue is that we're trying to spend time with them to the extent they want help, so they can understand these issues a little more. They can understand the implications of the different policies that they're considering. And we're trying to create a level of trust with them so that we can actually help them work through this, because it's a complicated situation.
Real quick on the cloud, you see a lot of transition there from your customers. How significant is that business for you in terms of growth?
Y'all have a good day.
It's funny, I actually said a few months ago that if you go back 5 years, the cloud was going to be the death of us. And in the irony of all ironies, the cloud is actually driving our growth today. And so what we see happening is that our customers are consuming cloud services from IBM, from Google, from Amazon, from Microsoft. They're consuming software applications from Workday and Salesforce and others. And so the underlying hypotheses that they use to build their original technology infrastructure, completely gone. Their traffic is going everywhere. And you got IoT, so they're having to restructure and reconstruct their infrastructure to actually accommodate that world, which is where we come in.
Chuck, it's good to have you on the program.
It's great to see you.
Thanks so much. Chuck Robbins is the CEO of Cisco. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Atlantis, where the unexpected awaits. A vacation that touches your soul, where unexpected moments become lifelong memories, bonding you to strangers, to friends, to the ocean. There are many vacations, but the best ones happen on an island called Paradise, at a place called Atlantis.
Book your winter vacation by January 31st at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com. A business owner always goes beyond what people expect. That's why we built the nation's largest gig-speed network, along with complete reliability. Then went beyond. Beyond clumsy dialings and pings, to one-touch conference calls. Beyond traditional TV, to TV on any device. Beyond low-res surveillance video, to crystal-clear HD video monitoring from anywhere. Gig-fueled apps that exceed expectations. Comcast Business, beyond fast.
Tired of struggling with regular mirrors that don't adjust so you can't get close enough? Need both hands but you don't have a stand? Can't move in the right direction to see your own reflection? You need Flexible Mirror, the bendable, light-up magnification mirror that comes to you. Watch. Just stick it on and turn the base. The super suction locking mechanism.
Outside and GC on the inside, the combo is just amazing. I love it.
Decades. Standard British DPM.
If Arnold had this in Predator 1, he might have taken out the Predator a lot faster.
You don't need gold, mate. What we now need to sort out is some booting, possibly a bit of webbing, and we'll go from there.
Let's do it, buds.
Okay, so cam creep, we use it for breaking up the outline of the face. Our nose, our eyes, our mouth, even our chin.
It's like a push pop. Is this the stuff you use when you're a sniper?
Use very much that stuff, yeah.
So you put it in your beard?
Yeah, I even put it in your beard.
The DPM patterns are really popular in streetwear, and I think it transcends not only a practical use, but also a more fashionable use.
DPMs, they're a fantastic thing. It's hard wearing. It will last an age. What's not to like about it? It's cheap.
My My camouflage is DPM, Disruptive Pattern Camouflage. This is not just some run-of-the-mill streetwear. I'll be able to hide from any situation I want. Camouflage is more than just a style. It's a lifestyle. Why? Because if we don't live it the right way, you're dead. I have the gear, I have the knowledge, I have the teacher, I have the history, I have the background, I have everything I need. And now it's time to practice. I'll see you on the other side of the camo.
We rip, we nick, we even get cut trying for beautiful legs. But now there's a new gold standard in instant painless hair removal. Flawless Legs from Finishing Touch. With its 18-karat gold-plated heads, Flawless Legs gently removes hair with no soap, no water. So you can use it anytime, anywhere. No nicks, no cuts, no bumps. Inside, the finest engineered technology removes hair with micro-precision, while floating heads contour to every curve. Perfect for delicate areas like ankles and knees.
It's super quick. You go in little circles. You can't cut yourself.
It's like I waxed them, but I didn't. Flawless Legs is the easy, pain-free way to get smooth, flawless legs, close as a blade, and safe to the touch.
You can take it anywhere. It is so nice to get the smoothness of a razor, but without having to go through the hassle of shaving.
Built-in LED lights make it easy to see and remove it all, with no nicks, cuts, or irritation, and no costly batteries, because Flawless Legs is rechargeable.
No more waxing, no more pain, no more razor cuts. I love that I don't have to get in the shower to shave.
Flawless Legs is so effective, it can remove hair from anywhere. Yet it's gentle and safe to the touch. And its palm-perfect design provides a no nicks, no cuts.
When I tell people my story, they don't believe it, but it's true.
What would it be like if you turned the corner one day and you saw yourself?
There was always a question mark. Why? It's a mystery. Something was just not right.
They're trying to conceal what they did.
It boggles the mind. There's still so much that we don't know.
Absolutely astounding.
How could you not tell us?
It's easy to shrink into your own little world. Especially these days.
I can see it.
Especially at this age.
Where are we going?
It's a big, beautiful world out there.
Wow.
Sometimes you just need a little help seeing it.
Presenting the all-new 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
Ever since I started spreading the word about Super Crispy grown in Idaho frozen fries on TV, I've become kind of a celebrity. Cut from 100% real Idaho potatoes. They bake up crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Look. Uh-oh. Looks like I've been spotted.
Can we get a picture?
Sure.
Make sure you get the whole bag in the shot.
Dry, grown in Idaho crispy puffs, too. Mmm, crispy.
Hi, I'm Bob Harper, and I recently had a heart attack. It changed my life, but I'm a survivor. After my heart attack, my doctor prescribed Brilinta. It's for people who have been hospitalized for a heart attack.
Brilinta is taken with a low-dose aspirin, no more than 100 milligrams, as it affects how well Brilinta works. Brilinta helps keep platelets from sticking together and forming a clot. In a clinical study, Brilinta worked better than platelets.
Brilinta reduced the chance of having another heart attack or dying from one.
Don't stop taking Brilinta without talking to your doctor, since stopping it too soon increases your risk of clots in your stent, heart attack, stroke, and even death. Brilinta may cause bruising or bleeding more easily, or serious, sometimes fatal bleeding. Don't take Brilinta if you have bleeding, like stomach ulcers, a history of bleeding in the brain, or severe liver problems. Slow heart rhythm has been reported. Tell your doctor about bleeding, new or unexpected shortness of breath, any planned surgery, and all medicines you take.
If you recently had a heart attack, ask your doctor if Brilinta is right for you. My heart is worth Brilinta.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Monday night, the first major television event of the 2020 election. Senator Kamala Harris, a CNN town hall, live from Iowa. Jake Tapper moderates a Democratic presidential town hall with Kamala Harris. Monday night at 10 Eastern, only on CNN.
Why are drivers 50 and over switching to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford? Let's take a ride with some actual customers and find out. Hey, well, tell me about your experience when you switched to the Hartford.
When I switched to the Hartford, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I should have turned 50 years ago. They saved me a bunch of money, You can't beat that.
What blows me away about the Hartford is their lifetime renewability benefit. Now, this is their promise not to drop you, even if you have an accident.
I know when I'm driving, I'm covered.
Drivers 50 and over can save hundreds of dollars when they switch to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford and get other incredible benefits like lifetime renewability. Not an AARP member? The Hartford can help you join in minutes. Call the Hartford to request your free quote at 1-800-203-8534 or go to gohartfordauto.com today.
CNN Tonight with Don Lemon. Tonight at 10 Eastern.
Farmers across the country dealing with two financial hits during the Trump presidency, the trade war with China, and now the government shutdown. So, are the farmers who voted for the president still supporting him? CNN's Bill Weir traveled to Iowa to find out.
My grandparents were farmers, and I thought my grandson was the smartest man I'd ever met.
Like most Iowa farmers, Kate Edwards loves the rhythm of the seasons. Seeds in the spring, harvest in the fall. But while winter is usually a time to plan, this winter is a time to worry.
As a farmer, it's kind of the worst time of year for the government to shut down. Because if it was any other time of year, we'd be too busy in the field to care. In the winter months, you're the business person. So this is the time of year when making these business decisions.
But she says the shutdown makes it much harder to apply for loans, collect checks, or see the Department of Agriculture data needed to plot the next crop.
I suppose you also have to make equipment decisions, right? Investments?
Oh, that's an easy one. We don't have any money, so we're not investing.
Dave Walton says the shutdown is part of a 1-2 punch that came when President Trump started a trade war with China. This destroyed his profit margin in soybeans while raising the cost of his equipment.
The cost of a new grain bin went up 15 to 25%. So things are already tight, and if you're thinking about buying a grain bin, you're probably not going to do it now.
But he refuses to criticize a president who flipped Iowa from blue to red with a big help from farmers.
I think there's some growing uneasiness. We're sort of in the middle of the game, so you can't really predict the outcome of the game in the middle.
But you can second guess the coaching if you're down.
Oh, yeah.
By 50 points at halftime.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're down by 3 touchdowns, if you want to put it that way. But he campaigned on a lot of the things he's doing right now. He's doing
a lot of farmers, big supporters of Donald Trump. Until he's out of office, I don't think you'll hear him say anything bad about him.
Really?
Or bad about the tariffs. I think they're just going to say it's going to be good for us in the long run.
When he's not growing soybeans, Brian Walken is the mayor of Monticello. He says that most farmers he knows will swallow the pain with patriotic pride.
Iowa soybeans,
Iowa
baby.
soybeans. Oh, and a $12 billion bailout doesn't hurt.
By borrowing more money from China to pay you guys a subsidy.
Yeah, he knows that we're taking a hit. He's acknowledging that the tariffs are having a negative impact on the agriculture industry. And so to keep the farmers happy, he's given us a subsidy.
Does that make sense?
It does if his plan works out in the long run.
It's unbelievable that the farmers in Iowa can still support Trump when it's costing them thousands every week. I can't believe that they're that blind.
Yeah, but they're being placated with a $12 billion bailout.
Over at Daryl's Diner in Monticello, Gary the eye doctor tells me after he was critical of Trump supporters, he lost a few regular patients. And while a Democrat won this district in the midterms, the political rifts are only getting wider.
I think that some of the diehards are dying harder.
And I think that piece is really important to what we do. And so I think we're frustrated right now, but I also think that we look to each other to build resiliency in that moment.
But Kate believes in the kindness of neighbors and strangers to save the American farm. Like the 9,700 federal Farm Service Agency workers now being called into work without pay. Bill Weir, CNN, Monticello, Iowa.
Really helpful glimpse into what's happening there.
From Iowa all the way to Davos, they're talking about it at the World Economic Forum, the ripple effects all over the economy.
There's another casualty of the government shutdown. The State Department forced to cancel an international conference on border security. This is an annual event scheduled to take place next month in Scotland. It typically brings together hundreds of border security experts from dozens of different countries. The Officials say it is being canceled because of limited funding during the shutdown.
Flights have resumed at New Jersey's Newark Airport this morning after a drone sighting grounded flights last night. The drone was spotted flying over a nearby airport. Crews on both Southwest and United flights reported the sighting to authorities, leading them to stop flights coming into and out of the airport. No word if investigators found the drone that caused the trouble.
A police officer in Nashville taking time out of his day to stop and play football with a teenager. This was caught on video by the teenager's mom. She said the officer played with her son Caden for at least 10 minutes out in the cold. She shared the video on Facebook. She was hoping to be able to track down that officer to thank him. And our affiliate, WZTV, reports that the mom eventually did track down the officer. She found out his name is Officer Grant, and he also has a son named Caden.
Well, how do you like that?
What are the chances?
What are the chances? Now, look, community policing, this is why they do it. So people are part of the community, they feel connected to law enforcement.
Yes, and invested.
All right, it is the call that likely cost the Saints a trip to the Super Bowl, almost definitely, and now it could cost the NFL. Can anything be done to prevent something like this from happening again? The former head of NFL officials joins us next.
But first, Darius Simons has 4 fingers and 2 prosthetic legs, but that does not slow him down on the piano. This teenager is striking a chord while inspiring others in today's Turning Points.
I like to be somebody's motivation. I wanted to learn how to play the piano around like the age of 10. I knew it was going to take a little bit more extra work for me to learn how to play the piano, even at a young age. Everybody had 10 fingers. I knew I had 4, but I'm pretty sure I can make it work.
He was born with 3 fingers on one hand and the one on the left. And without the tibula and fibula of his lower legs, at 18 months, in order to walk, his only choice was the invitations.
Now, I got invited to play at Carnegie Hall with German, one of my favorite composers and pianists.
That night, Jerry walked across the stage, sat on the same bench together and played a song. And we got a standing ovation.
One of the best experiences I ever had in my life. One of my compositions that I made is Dreams Are Forever. I filmed it and then I posted it on social media to doing our own. So it did pretty good.
Very few high school students can be as emotional with music and be able to perform it and really tell a story through his music.
He doesn't know the word can't. He's just one heck of a boy.
If I play in front of a whole crowd and I see one person smile, that's a job well done.
Turning Points, brought to you by Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
From the very beginning, it was always our singular focus to do whatever it takes, use every possible resource to fight cancer, and never lose sight of the patients we're fighting for. Our cancer treatment specialists share the same vision. Experts from all over the world working closely together to deliver truly personalized cancer care. And these are the specialists we're proud to call our own. Expert medicine works here. Learn more at cancercenter.com. Appointments available now.
Stand up to chronic migraine with Botox. What if you had fewer headaches and migraines a month? Botox prevents headaches and migraines before they even start. Botox is for adults with chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox injections take about 15 minutes in your doctor's office and are covered by most insurance.
Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
With the Botox Savings Program, most people with commercial insurance pay nothing out of pocket. Talk to your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com to enroll.
Hey, save your seat.
This round is on me. Hey, can you spot me?
Come on in. Find your place today.
with silver sneakers, included with many Medicare plans. Call the number on the screen now or visit getsilversneakers.com.
My NP spends a lot of time with me and gives me a lot of attention, which led to my diagnosis. She initiated tests and found out what was wrong. She's treated both my children since they were born.
I feel like my NP cares about me as a person and not just if I'm sick or not.
And I really love my nurse practitioner because we have such a strong connection. I know that whenever I call, she'll be there for me. My name is Molly, and we choose NPs.
Consider an NP. When patients choose, patients win.
Just got this amazing triple points in all restaurants.
Triple points? How did Gary figure that one out? I don't even get double points. Is Gary smarter than me? He's definitely not more handsome. Or maybe he is. Triple points are pretty sexy. I hate you, Gary.
Credit card envy? Go to comparecards.com where you can search and apply for credit cards based on the perks you like most. A better card is out there. Just compare cards.
Liberty Mutual accident forgiveness means they won't hike your rates over one mistake. See? Liberty Mutual doesn't hold grudges.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident. Switch and you could save $782 on home and auto insurance. Call 1-844-567-9460 for a free quote today. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
New Orleans Saints fans taking their anger over what might be the worst no call in NFL history to court. 2 season ticket holders are suing the NFL, demanding the commissioner reverse the result of the NFC Championship game or schedule a replay. It is because of this play. You can see it here. This is crystal clear pass interference. It was not called on the Los Angeles Rams very late, the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Had it been called, the Saints almost definitely would have won and gone to the Super Bowl. Instead, the Rams are going. Joining us now is Mike Pereira, the former vice president of officiating for the NFL and rules analyst for Fox Sports. Mike, thank you so much for being with us. Just for some of our audience who may not be rabid football fans, I just want to get 2 things on the record as we see this play again. Number 1, this is crystal clear, no doubt about it, pass interference, and it should have been called, correct?
That's absolutely 100% correct, and you could throw in the element that it's also an illegal hit on a defenseless player.
All right, so that was a crystal clear penalty that the whole world can now see. Number 2, and this is a bit more subjective, that in a championship game like this, had the call gone the right way, almost definitely, you can never know for sure, but almost definitely the Saints would have won.
I have to agree with that certainly, because it would have given them a first down at the 6-yard line, and they could have run the clock down to just a few seconds left before kicking basically the winning field goal.
Yeah, so that what we're looking at here, and we're getting this from someone who knows, is that basically a missed call put a team in the Super Bowl. Had the call been made correctly, the Saints would be in the Super Bowl today. That is so hard for the people of New Orleans to stomach right now. And they filed this lawsuit, and among other things, they say that the call has caused them emotional trauma, loss of enjoyment of life, a distrust of the game, which has become a national pastime. Explain then again to our audience why then the NFL just doesn't reverse it and send the Saints to the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, listen, the commissioner does have authority to do what he can for the best interest of the game, but you know, you can't do this when it comes to a judgment call made by officials. I mean, I get the fact, and certainly everybody connected with the Saints has the right to be upset, but you're not going to reverse a game based on a missed call, a misjudgment call. If you were to do that, think of the slippery slope, man. There'd be ice going everywhere, because you have to look at, in week 1 of the season next year, there's a holding call that was missed, and it was at the end of the game. You're not going to go that way. I mean, officiating when it gets to judgment is subjective. It's tough. It's miserably tough to do. And you hate the outcome the way that it turned out. I think it's more important not to focus now backwards as it is to focus forward. And what could we possibly do to keep this from happening again? What measures can the league take going forward to maybe correct an error like this at the time?
And the answer to that is what?
Well, I don't think it's expanding instant replay, in my opinion. I mean, pass interference, everybody's talking about making pass interference reviewable. I don't think that you want to do that in the replay system, but that doesn't mean it can't be taken care of. Look at, in my opinion now, college football has 8 officials, the NFL has 7. I think they need to add an 8th. And I say this not out of a lack of respect for officials, but technology is improving at a faster rate than officiating is. And so I think it's time to suck it up and actually say we need to use more technology by hiring an 8th official, not involved with replay. It's called the Sky Judge, I call him. And he has a booth in the stadium with replay equipment. And he can immediately, as the 8th member of this crew, just call down to the referee and said, I got the look, it's pass interference on the Rams, it's New Orleans ball, first and goal at the 6. It'll take 15 to 20 seconds to fix it, not a 3-minute stop on replay. And it just gives officiating another tool for them to use and focus only on the major fouls, the player safety fouls, the pass interferences. It can be done. And I get a bit alarmed when I hear people like John Elway and Stephen Jones just come out publicly and say, we can't review pass interference. And this is even before even going to the competition committee meetings, which they are on. You can, if you open up your thoughts and use technology with an 8th official, there are mistakes that can be corrected in 15 to 20 seconds, and it'll look a little strange, but you'll get the calls right.
There might be a little pause. There might be a little pause in the game, but in this 15 seconds, you can make sure the team that deserves it should be going to the Super Bowl. Mike Pereira, great to have you on. Thanks so much.
I really understood what was happening now.
And you loved it because you love discussions like this.
Well, yeah, number one, I love sports, but number two, I now get it. Now I see, having watched that replay, and you educated me, now I see why that is so outrageous. Thank you for that. The Senate is set to vote to end the shutdown tomorrow. Will there be any deal today? Newsroom picks up our coverage next.
I'm Ken Jacobus, and I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy. And last year, I earned $36,000 in cash back, which I used to offer health insurance to my employees. What's in your wallet?
Nothing outlasts Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Hey, you can't do that. Can he do that?
Yeah, he's good.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium. It's the #1 longest lasting battery.
Here in the Florida Keys, we've learned to preserve, conserve, and protect all of our most precious resources. Because we believe you should leave the world better than you found it. And if you're lucky, it'll do the same for you. The Florida Keys and Key West.
For small businesses, payroll is complex and time-consuming, and mistakes can mean tax trouble. Sure Payroll makes it easy to pay employees and file federal, state, and local taxes with accuracy guaranteed. All done online in minutes, and with award-winning support, even on weekends and evenings. More time for you, less time on payroll and taxes. For 2 months of free payroll, visit SurePayroll.com now, or call 844-SURE-PAYROLL. SurePayroll.com.
When I tell people my story, they don't believe it, but it's true.
What would it be like if you turned the corner one day and you saw yourself?
There was always a question mark. Why? It's a mystery. Something was just not right.
They're trying to conceal what they did.
It boggles the mind. There's still so much that we don't know.
Absolutely astounding.
How could you not tell us?
Why are drivers 50 and over switching to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford? Let's take a ride with some actual customers and find out. Hey, well, tell me about your experience when you switched to the Hartford.
When I switched to the Hartford, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I should have turned 50 years ago. They saved me a bunch of money, You can't beat that.
What blows me away about the Hartford is their lifetime renewability benefit. Now, this is their promise not to drop you, even if you have an accident.
I know when I'm driving, I'm covered.
Drivers 50 and over can save hundreds of dollars when they switch to the AARP Auto Insurance Program from the Hartford and get other incredible benefits like lifetime renewability. Not an AARP member? The Hartford can help you join in minutes. Call the Hartford to request your free quote at 1-800-203-8534 or go to gohartfordauto.com today.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
All right, good morning, everyone. Top of the hour. I'm Poppy Holt.
And I'm Jim Sciutto. Vote first, negotiate later. That may be the best case scenario on day 33 of the partial government shutdown, one day before the Senate plans to vote on competing measures that individually are very likely doomed. The hope is that in defeat, though, that these votes will prompt some negotiations towards a measure that both houses might pass and, crucially, that the president might sign, or maybe not. In the meantime, 800,000 federal employees are set to miss a second paycheck. That includes the U.S. Coast Guard, whose commandant is openly calling their plight, and you might understand this, unacceptable.
You, as members of the armed forces, should not be expected to shoulder this burden. I find it unacceptable that Coast Guard men and women have to rely on food pantries and donations to get through day-to-day life as service members.
So the shutdown also taking a really serious toll on the FBI. A sobering report from the FBI Agents Association warns that crime fighting and terrorism operations for both are suffering for a lack of funds. The fear, this is a quote, the fear, says one agent, is our enemies know that they can run freely. That's quite a statement. CNN has also obtained an email from leaders of the TSA asking for 250 screeners to move from less busy airports to the under-strain ones from TSA sick out. Some screeners are calling out in protest. Others say they simply can't afford to keep showing up for free. When will this end? Let's go to Capitol Hill. Let's go to Lauren Fox, because these are the people, along with the president, who can end it. Have they done anything in the last 24 hours to get there?
Well, Jim and Poppy, it looks like the pain will continue, at least in the short term. Tomorrow, the Senate will vote on two proposals. They'll have a procedural vote first with the Republican proposal. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell bringing that bill to the floor that includes $5.7 billion for the president's border wall in exchange for DACA recipients getting a 3-year extension, as well as recipients of the temporary protected status. But that's expected to fail. Not enough Democrats are expected to pass it. So then you move to the Democratic proposal. That proposal would just reopen the government through the beginning of February. But again, not enough Republican votes. So the question becomes, is there something that shakes this loose? Do folks start to get in a room and start negotiating? But the problem with that is rank and file members just don't know if they can trust the White House at this point. You know, if they all get into a room and moderates find some kind of deal in the middle, will the president back it? What happens if he doesn't? You know, that's happened before up here on Capitol Hill. People feel pretty optimistic about something, an immigration deal, some kind of government spending deal. Then the president pulls the rug out from under them. So what's very clear up here is that there's a lot of trepidation because people just don't know how this shutdown is going to end. Poppy?
Wish I had better news this morning. Lauren Fox, thank you for the update. Meantime, the White House says it is pressing forward with preps for the State of the Union speech supposed to be next week.
The big question is, where will the president deliver it? Joe Johns is at the White House with Moores. So, Joe, the White House now considering options other than Capitol Hill.
Right, and that is because the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, did send the president a letter suggesting it ought to be postponed due to security reasons. I asked Sarah Sanders, the press secretary out here just a little while ago about that. She said the Secret Service as well as the Department of Homeland Security have already responded saying there are no security concerns. But talking to Pelosi's office this morning, her spokesman Drew Hamill told me just a little while ago on the phone that they've never gotten an acceptance officially from the White House to deliver the speech, an acceptance to the Speaker's initial invitation, and they've never gotten a response to that security letter. So The Capitol, of course, is still in doubt as it stands right now. The White House would be certainly another possibility. The President of the United States, of course, controls that, perhaps in the East Room, one of the larger spaces here that could accommodate such a speech. There's also the floated idea of a rally, a political rally. The President holds so many of those, but he has been cautioned, even by some of the supporters, about the optics of that, simply because the speech is supposed to be for all Americans in both parties, Democrats and Republicans. The President has also gotten invitations from the Speaker of the House in the state of North Carolina to deliver the speech somewhere there, and the Speaker of the House in Michigan to deliver the speech in the Michigan Capitol. Now, we're told from the Speaker of the House in Michigan that the President turned down that invitation. Not clear what might happen in North Carolina. A reminder there, the Republican National Convention is expected to be held in North Carolina in 2020. And our Caitlin Collins has also reported that some of the president's conservative supporters have suggested he simply go down to the southern border and give the speech there, because that, of course, is the big issue that has created this shutdown. Back to you.
Coach Hans, thanks very much. Quite a backdrop
You
for
man.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Republican Congressman Clay Higgins joins us now. He just met with the president last week on the subject of the shutdown. Congressman, thanks very much for taking the time with us this morning.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to you.
So let me ask you this. You're a member of the Homeland Security Committee. The president and Republicans like yourself say that this shutdown is necessary for the security of the country. But you're seeing the effects of the shutdown here. You have FBI agents saying investigations are being put on hold. You have TSA agents who are calling in sick because they can't pay their expenses. They're holding down 2 jobs. You have air traffic controllers holding down 2 jobs just to pay the bills. You have the Coast Guard going out to sea with their sailors unpaid. In your view, is it worth damaging security in other areas, a number of areas, to hold out for money for the border wall?
That's a question you might want to ask Madam Speaker Pelosi. This shutdown never had to happen at all. We had always been receptive to good faith negotiations. We knew when we sent the appropriations bill to the Senate that there would be some pushback, and we were prepared for a reasonable counteroffer. What we got was zero. It's like the Army asking for 20 tanks, and you say, we'll give you 1 folding chair. That's not a good faith, reasonable negotiation designed to move forward.
I know that that's the current strategy, and I hear your point, because listen, both parties are clearly digging in on this. But as you know, the president owned this shutdown. He said so publicly. The president approved of legislation that would have kept the government open, and then reversed his position on that. As you know, the president, at a minimum,
we've never reversed our position on border security, brother.
Well, the president was prepared to sign.
You stay with it, but the truth is that the government shutdown did not have to happen, and it can end in a 15-minute meeting. We must have southern border security, period.
In fairness, it's not my talking point that the president supported legislation that would have kept the government open and then reversed his support for that legislation. I'm just asking you the basic question, because you're on the Homeland Security Committee, you're a former cop as well. Is it worth damaging security in these other areas, whether it's TSA screeners or FBI investigations, to hold out for money today on the border wall? That's the straight question.
It's a straight question, but it's a complex answer. We, all of us as Americans, have responsibilities to secure the sovereignty of our nation. We have 328 ports of entry in the United States where a foreign national can come legally through that point of entry and apply for asylum or refugee status. We also have 10 consulates in Mexico, geographically positioned to receive incoming foreign nationals that are seeking refugee status. Walls don't mean don't enter. I mean enter through the gate. There's no reason, none, for this influx of this incredible number of increase of illegal crossings. Border security is overwhelmed. They've asked us appropriately for funding for the things they need. That's precisely what we intend to give them.
Congressman Clay Higgins, we're glad you're here. This is Poppy Harlow. Just a point of fact here, it's actually gone down. The number of total illegal border crossings has gone down. We've shown the chart many times. Yes,
wrong.
The number of... It's not wrong. We have the chart.
We'll
Bring it
how
up.
do you count the ones, madam, that you don't catch? How do you count the ones you don't catch?
That you don't catch, sir?
We're counting the ones that we do catch.
And that's what I'm
and
telling
again,
you.
there are
Congressman,
328 points of
really
entry
don't
in
want to
America.
argue with you. We really want to have a civil conversation. So just let me ask the question. As our team gets the chart, and I promise we'll put it up here, we'll give you the sourcing. My question to you is, you say that there are not any good faith negotiations from Democrats. And Jim and I see the Democrats digging in here and not counteroffering. But was it a good faith negotiation of the president when Republicans controlled both chambers of Congress and he controlled the White House, and he walked away from a deal that would have given him $25 billion for the border wall, sir?
Well, we have certainly very challenging endeavors to handle in the 115th Congress, and the president was very reluctant to sign an appropriations bill in 2018, January 2018, without the kind of enhanced physical barrier, border security, that border security agents and law enforcement professionals had stated that they certainly needed. But the president moved forward with that in good faith, that as we moved into the 116th Congress, he would receive the requested funding for enhanced physical barrier. And keep in mind, madam, and I appreciate your offer for civility, because this thing doesn't have to continue. Yeah. We have existing 700 miles of physical barrier. It's old. It needs to be replaced with 21st century hardened, difficult to cross and loaded with technology barrier. We've identified another couple of 100 miles or so. This thing does not have to move forward. The president has offered a concession on DACA. He's offered a couple of things to the Democrats. He said we're open to a counteroffer, a reasonable counteroffer. Madam Speaker Pelosi offered $1. That's not a good faith offer. That's designed to be insulting.
On that, as you know, the Supreme Court yesterday extended protections for Dreamers at least through 2020. That's based on how the Supreme Court calendar works. But there's a lot of folks, a lot of talk even among your Republican colleagues that basically makes the president's offer moot. You now have reporting that the president is offering the possibility, or the White House is floating the idea of offering green cards to these 800,000 Dreamers. Is that a measure that you would support, you would vote for?
I would not support any sort of amnesty. I do support a reasonable and compassionate humanitarian solution to the scores of millions of illegal immigrants that are currently living in our country. But, madam, sir, we have a crisis at our southern border. We have to respond. The sovereignty of our nation is at stake. And the law enforcement professionals have requested appropriately what they've requested. And we need to perform. So there comes a point in time when you ask yourself, just what is the value of the security and sovereignty of our nation? This is the posture that we've taken. We're receptive to reasonable counteroffers. The president has met with me personally and stated that he's receptive to any kind of a reasonable counteroffer. $1 is not a counteroffer.
So you say it's a crisis now, and I'd assume from the numbers we put up on the screen that you agree are the accurate numbers. This was a crisis during the last Congress as well, right? Yes or no?
I can't see the screen that you're referring to, madam, but I certainly have my own numbers. And I can tell you, I have, because of my background, I have many friends down there on the border. And I talk to them and speak to them, text regularly. They send me pictures. Right. They send me videos. It's a crisis. If you don't know if it's a crisis.
And it's been a crisis, right? It's been a crisis. It was a crisis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But it's an increasing crisis.
Why didn't the GOP Congress, when it controlled the Senate, the House, and the White House, why wasn't it a crisis last year? Why wasn't there an effort to shut down the government?
Brother, that's not a sincere question. That's like me asking, why didn't, when President Obama was president and the Democrats controlled both houses, why didn't they fix DACA? Why didn't they handle Dreamers? Understand,
that's a fair question.
Americans.
That's a fair question for Democrats, but for Republicans.
We must get the government back open.
We
must restore full function to the government. It can be done in a 15-minute meeting with any kind of a reasonable counteroffer from my Democratic colleagues.
Congressman Clay Higgins, first of all, thank you for coming on. Please come again. I think we all agree that this needs to be solved for the 800,000 workers and their families. We appreciate your time, sir, this morning. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, and God bless you both.
Thank you.
And you. So, the cost of the shutdown, it's huge. It's getting bigger every day. It's about to top the price tag of the president's call for the border wall, $5.7 billion. Next, we're going to get into the economic toll of the impasse with the chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors.
And you see that conversation there, that the positions among both parties are not softening, at least in public comment.
Right.
Plus, ahead, deadline day, the legal team for former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort has just minutes left to respond to allegations that he breached his plea agreement with the special counsel's office. We're on top of it.
I just got my cashback match. Is this for real? Yeah. We match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first year automatically. I got my money. Sorry to contain yourself, isn't it? Let go.
Get a dollar-for-dollar match at the end of your first year, only from Discovery.
1 hour pickup order?
Got it.
Brad and Nick and I have a big meeting today.
And 2 boxes of Twizzlers.
For the team.
The team?
Go team.
Order online, pick up in an hour. Hurry in and save on tax software at Office Depot Office Max.
The best part about being a Bathfitter installer is the reveal. Homeowners greet us in the morning and love that we're going to install a beautiful new tub right over their old one without tearing the bathroom apart. But they're never quite prepared for what they get come the end of the day. We call it the wow. When they see their new bathtub that's high quality and more beautiful than they could have imagined, I can't help but smile. Since it's Bathfitter, it's built to last a lifetime. We guarantee it.
Book your free in-home consultation today. Call or visit bathfitter.com.
Oh, Milk, am I willing to pay the price for loving you? You'll make my morning, but ruin my day. Complicated relationship with milk? Pour on the Lactate, 100% real milk, just without that annoying lactose. That's good.
Introducing the new South Beach Diet. It's keto friendly. Lose weight fast and get in the best shape of your life.
Lose up to 7 pounds in your first 7 days.
I'm Jessie James Decker, and since baby number 3, I've lost 17 pounds with the South Beach Diet.
South Beach is a low-carb, high-protein, keto-friendly program that burns fat and transforms your metabolism. Made from farm-fresh ingredients, customized and prepared for you with keto-friendly options.
I lost 29 pounds, and I feel better than ever. I'm healthy and in the best shape of my life.
Order today, and we'll rush you South Beach, plus a week of all-new Simply Fit shakes free. 20 grams of protein, probiotics, and it's keto-friendly. Call or go online in the next 4 minutes and save 40%.
Trust me, South Beach works. Call or go online right now.
Go online or call 888-539-WAVE right now and save 40% plus get probiotic keto-friendly shakes free.
If your moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's symptoms are holding you back, and your current treatment hasn't worked well enough, it may be time for a change. Ask your doctor about Entyvio, the only biologic developed and approved just for UC and Crohn's. Entyvio works at the site of inflammation in the GI tract and is clinically proven to help many patients achieve both symptom relief and remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a rare, serious, potentially fatal brain infection caused by a virus, may be possible. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If your UC or Crohn's treatment isn't working for you, ask your gastroenterologist about Entyvio. Entyvio, relief and remission within reach.
Okay, one last check.
Much better. Thank you, doctor.
If you're planning on retirement, plan on vision coverage through the same eye doctor network you've come to know and trust. Good eye health is important, and VSP offers individual vision plans so you can continue the same great vision care you've enjoyed through every stage of life.
Thank you, VSP.
VSP individual vision plans. See better for life, for less.
He's interviewed 5 U.S. presidents, authored 7 books, and has an independent voice that resonates.
What happened to when we were united against a common enemy?
He's raw, unique, and one of America's most important talk show hosts. Watch Snurkonish, Saturday mornings at 9 Eastern.
All right, welcome back. I wish I didn't have to say this, but I do. It is shutdown day 33, and according to a new analysis by S&P Global, the cost of the stalemate will soon top the $5.7 billion that the president has requested for his border wall. That'll happen this week. This, as the shutdown is taking a greater toll on the economy than expected. So with us now, a very important voice in all of this, the chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassett. Good morning, Kevin.
Yeah, good morning, Bob.
What is this shutdown going to cost our economy?
right? Well, of course, it looks like folks are going to once again miss a check, and there's a lot of enormous focused personal cost. It's something that, over at the White House, that everybody's not being paid. The people on my staff are not being paid. And so that I think that a lot of the cost that we're feeling right now is going to be like at the individual level. At the macroeconomic level, relative to the overall economy, then there's a loss of about a little more than 0.1% of GDP each week. But when the government reopens, you get that back. And so what would happen would be that if it were closed for a month, you'd lose 0.5% in the first quarter, and then gain 0.5% back in the second quarter. And so, but you lose the government output.
Yeah. Well, and here's the issue.
That's right. Yeah.
Here's the issue, right, Kevin? I'm not gonna buy two sandwiches, for lunch when the government opens again, or go buy, 3 lattes that I didn't buy when it was closed. So you don't get that. You don't get that back, but according to your own calculations, I mean that's a really big deal. So far, because 4+ weeks into the shutdown, we've shaved off about 0.5% of GDP. Your outlook, I think last week was 1.7% GDP for Q1. If this extends into March, we're looking at 1% growth only for the first quarter. By your calculation, couldn't we then? But let me just ask. By your calculation, couldn't we then see 0 growth if this persists through the end of the quarter?
There is this thing that if we're going to put your viewers to sleep for a moment, but I guess I do that all the time, right? We should,
let's not do
play
that.
This tonight at 11. No, but I just want to say that
growth?
the first quarter has tended to be weak. The first quarter has tended to be weak recently. It's called residual seasonality. And it is true that if we get a typically weak first quarter and then have an extended shutdown, that we could end up with a number that's very, very low.
Could we get 0 growth?
But again, we'll get it when the government reopens. We get that growth back.
Could we get 0 growth? I just want to nail this down.
Yes, we could.
Okay.
That's
wow.
All right. If it extended for the whole quarter, and given the fact that the first quarter tends to be low because of residual seasonality, then you could end up with a number very close to the first quarter. But then again, the second quarter number would be humongous if the government reopened.
We'll see how long the government stays shut down. The president has said he would extend this, as long as it takes. Do you think, Kevin? It sounded to me like last week you were saying that the White House has somewhat underestimated the economic toll of the shutdown. Do you think so?
Oh, the first number, yeah. What happened actually was that at one point after doing a TV interview right at the beginning, somebody, and they call them the gaggles. Sometimes you see people get a crowd around them after they do a TV hit. Somebody in the gaggle said, "Give me a rule of thumb," and I gave a rule of thumb that was accurate based on some briefing I had, but had excluded government contractors. And so then we came out and corrected it. But the number that you and I just talked about, that's the correct number. And I think that pretty much you're right that if the government were to be shut down for the whole quarter, then we would be looking at a cost like that. But I want to add one other thing too, that we're at a time in the business cycle that is especially good for people who have been separated from society and disadvantaged by the weak economy of the Great Recession. And so what's happening right now is the incomes at the lower end, the lowest decile, are growing faster than for people as a whole. And people are reconnecting to the labor force at a rate that's really unprecedented. About 3/4 of new. So the point is that what's happening right now is people who were most disconnected, who most need our help, are being pulled back into the labor force right now. So it's essential that the recovery continue. I mean, it's essential. Yes, that's right.
We agree on that. It's essential that the recovery continue. Wage growth has been a good story. But let's talk about the impact to America and our standing in the world. I mean, the credit rating. You remember well the fight over the debt ceiling in 2011. S&P downgraded America's credit rating, which we have not gotten back yet. And why? Because, in their words, political brinkmanship. That's exactly where we are now. And we're also facing a threat from Fitch that they may downgrade America's credit rating. Are you worried about that?
Yeah, and again, I'm not a political scientist, I'm an economist, and I'm not a member of the cabinet. In fact, if you look at the 46 Act, the CEA was basically put here so that I would describe the data to Americans and to the president.
But are you worried about it?
And so I can say that, yes. Well, I don't think a downgrade is in play, but I do think that we're in a world where we've had, I think, now 21 government shutdowns since the 1970s, and this brinksmanship is something that goes on, and that adds uncertainty to markets that, bond readers have to take into account. But I don't think that there's any risk at all, given how strong the economy is.
But it does concern you.
It would be a better world. But again, I'd like going back to the fact, going to my own staffers. I have a staffer, a young person just out of college, who took a 50% pay cut to come work at CEA from working at some fancy consulting firm who wanted to serve her country. We need to have a government that's filled with people like that, with people who love their country so much that they want to come here and serve it. And I think that if people are not getting paid and they face the kind of uncertainty that we're putting them under, and we do that 22 times in a couple of decades, then we've got a political system that's fundamentally not serving us.
Good point. On the economy, there are some concerning signs about a slowdown. You saw the IMF downgrading growth outlook this week for this year and next year. China just had its worst growth since 1990. When you look at existing home sales, they tumbled in December by the most we've seen in 3 years. Those are three really big, important things. Where would you, Kevin, put the chances of a recession in 2020?
Yeah, they're very, very close to zero. Usually the like if you told me 10 years from now and pick a random year, what are the odds of recession, then you would say about 18%. But right now we've got so much.
82% of CFOs surveyed by Duke think there's a recession next year. 82% are
right. But we had so much momentum. There was just a great industrial production number. We just had a great jobs number. There's a lot of momentum carrying into this year. The government shutdown adds a lot of uncertainty. You're starting to see that uncertainty in some pieces of data. Like, I don't know if you looked at consumer sentiment last week, but it really dropped a lot.
It was horrible.
Because of the government shutdown. But mostly, I think that our view is unchanged from last year, that we're going to have about 3% growth this year. And it's because we've got all this momentum. We turned on all those factories last year. Now they're going to start producing output, and that's pretty much the output that's in the bank.
Look at this number from the tax cuts, okay? Huge jump in the first quarter from the tax cuts in business spending. Then really significant decline. Look at that in the last 2 quarters. It's decelerating. Okay, well, the BEA numbers, the business spending decelerated in the last 2 quarters. It was just 2.5%. The growth rate, Bank of America out with a note calling it the investment boom that wasn't. And I just wonder if you're concerned after these tax cuts and the promise to America of a ton of business investment that would be prolonged, that we haven't seen that materialize past the first quarter, and yet we've seen $1 trillion in corporate stock buybacks announced.
Right. Well, there has been a capital spending this year, and even the industrial production numbers that we got last week showed a big increase in the output of capital equipment.
It was down
but what happened?
Kevin, I'm just wondering. There was a promise we're going to cut corporate taxes, and they're going to have prolonged investment, and we're seeing more buybacks and everything.
No, what happened with capital spending is it jumped in the fourth quarter last year because of the way the tax cuts worked. People got to deduct at a higher rate, and so there was this big sale on capital equipment in the fourth quarter, and then in the first quarter or the second quarter that continued, and then at this much higher level it started to level off, which is how our investment models work. And so the investment movement, and this was a point of my lecture at the American Economic Association a couple of weeks ago, the investment movement is exactly what our models would predict, and that's why last year at this time I said that GDP growth for 2018 would be 3.1%. It looks like that's going to be almost exactly right. And the same model says it's going to be about 3% this year.
So you're not concerned, quickly before you go to